So we were made to be mirrors for God, but we end up being addicted to mirrors and gazing upon ourselves. Now, what's curious is this culturally is synonymous with greatness, because in our day, to be great and to pursue greatness means becoming famous. There was a day you'd become famous by doing something. I went to the moon, right? I created software. Today, tell me anything any Kardashian has ever done, okay? And I'll give you the rest of your life to try. Nothing. You say, well, Paris Hilton, yeah, nothing. On the Richter scale of contribution, flatline, nothing. People are famous by virtue of just being famous. They're known for being known, not for doing anything. And so if you accept the cultural definition of greatness, the whole goal will be narcissism. I just want to be famous. I want everybody to know me. And some of you right now, you're smart. You're on a stage in front of us all, Twittering and Facebooking. It seems like you're a narcissist. And the truth is, it's something that is convicting me, something I'm praying through, something I'm looking back and asking, have I said or done, have I? When have I said and done? Hypothetically, I know this guy, he's about this tall and says things that he shouldn't. I know looking back, there have been times I've said and done things in such a way to get a bigger audience and a bigger splash and a bigger crowd, to get more attention, and it can detract attention from Jesus and the needs of others. That's narcissism. So something I'm thinking and praying about, and it kind of was triggered, interestingly enough, by Dr. Drew. Somebody say, oh, he's a Christian? No. He's a nice enough guy. I did the Loveline radio show with Dr. Drew a few months back, and we're taking calls from addicted and abused people for the duration of the show. And we were talking in between callers, and he said, boy, we don't agree on a lot of things, but we do agree on why these people have these issues. We didn't agree on the solution. So I have no indication that he's a Christian, but he's since gone on to become sort of a cultural celebrity expert. When Mel Gibson had his total meltdown, they brought him out on various shows to give his perspective. He's written a book actually called The Mirror Effect. The mirror effect, which is interesting, because it's the language of the Bible, imaging God, and it's the language that John Calvin and other reformers used to talk about. We're supposed to image God, and what he said is that narcissistic people become celebrities. Their whole goal is to be famous. They'll do anything to become famous, and then normal people become abnormal by imitating, mirroring, mimicking the behavior of those who are celebrities. And it leads to the train wreck that we call pop culture. And so in his book, The Mirror Effect, I've taken a few of his principles, and I'll describe this as godless greatness. If you just say, I want to be great, which means I want to be famous, and you just walk into this world with the aspiration of fame, here's what's going to happen. Number one, narcissists become celebrities. You're self-absorbed, you're self-addicted, you're the drama queen, you need all the attention, you need everyone to pay attention to you. For some of you, you sort of have this in a minor regard where in your circle of friends, everybody needs to pay attention to you. Nobody else gets to talk, nobody else gets to decide anything, and everybody better be following your Twitter feed, otherwise they're going to hear about it. You have to have attention. And it escalates all the way up to celebrities where they want the whole world to pay attention to them, not because they're helping or serving or praying or caring or teaching, but just so that they can get attention. And this starts, parents, when kids are young. I saw this at a Mariners game recently. There were, they said, 20,000 people at the game, and it didn't look that way. But in front of Gracie and I, there was a family, a mom and dad, and a boy who was maybe 4, 5, 6 years of age. And this kid is going to be trouble. Because he didn't know that the 20,000 people who were there to watch the game. He thought the 20,000 people were there to watch him. He had no concept that there was a universe beyond himself and that anyone would be interested in anything other than him. And to make matters worse, his mother completely indulged him. She had a camera and must have taken 10 bajillion photos of everything he did. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. And this boy, for the entirety of the game, is standing on his chair, doing things, trying to be cute, messing around, hoping to get 20,000 people to care more about him than Ichiro. And the whole time his mother is taking his photo, which is just practicing for him to be on TMZ someday. That's how I saw it. It reached about the 8th inning, and all of a sudden, he ran out of things to do, and he ran out of people paying attention to him, so he started taking his pants off while standing up on the chair. Again, he's practicing for TMZ. That's the culture we live in. Narcissists become celebrities, and it starts when you're young. I'm not saying you ignore children, but you tell them, God is the center of the universe. There's some other people on the planet. You may not always get all the attention. Deal with it. Number 2, what happens then? Extreme, dangerous, and self-destructive behavior is how you become famous. You can't become famous by being normal. Right? You're not going to go home and turn on like The Soup or Tosh.0 and out comes, today we followed Hank around. He woke up early, he read Proverbs, he drank decaf, he took the bus to work to reduce his carbon footprint. He did a really good job. He didn't steal any money. He stayed late because he loves his employer, came home, kissed his wife, read Proverbs with his kids, and then went to bed. Nobody's going to watch that. And then he ate someone. You're like, oh, well, yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. You have to do something crazy, right? And what this leads to is, I'll give you some examples. Bizarre addictions to body image, so eating disorders, bulimia, anorexia, extreme surgeries, procedures, hypersexuality, all kinds of deviant sexuality, extreme addiction to substances and alcohol, dangerous and violent behavior. Right, so Johnny Knoxville's got his 3D movie coming out and bully beatdowns out, and it's just, I'm going to become famous through taking risks with my own life and safety. Self-harm, which can include cutting, all kinds of disorders like hoarding. We find people that have the most eccentric, troubled, broken, harmed lives, and we don't have the ability to just pray for them or serve them. We're intrigued by them. And what promulgates this is reality television, which isn't that realistic. But reality television is this explosive phenomena where in an effort to get a show, you have to do more and more and more extreme behavior so that you can be more famous to increase your greatness. In the year 2000, how many reality television shows do you think there were? 4. Today, 320. Now, we've gotten offered 2. 2 times we've been offered. Do you Driscoll's, me and the kids and Grace, you guys want to be extreme television family? No, we don't. Because first of all, my whole goal is a boring testimony. Be like, hey, Lexi could color and Mark's still reading, right? It should be boring. Look at the reality television. The Hogans, bad. Osborne's kid in rehab, shocker. Who could have seen that coming? And now it's K+8 because John, didn't go so well. You have to continually increase your extreme, bizarre, ridiculous, nonsensical behavior to keep attracting an audience. And what it leads to is a culture of death. Now what happens then, people in culture think, well, I see it all the time. It must be normal. So you got junior high girls sending out naked photos of themselves on their phones, and you got people doing, you got kids trying to reproduce jackass stunts, and they're 12. They don't understand gravity or deductibles. They don't understand what they're doing. And people, they just mimic this behavior. And then what happens is they use social media thinking, well, I want to become famous. I want to put it on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, YouTube. I'm going to put it out there on my blog. I'm going to become famous by saying and doing something nuts. And everybody talks about it. Well, it works. I'm famous. I guess if I want to be more famous, I got to get more nutty. And this ultimately, because it's an identity founded on someone and something other than Jesus, and it's glory for me and not glory for God, it's sin, it ultimately leads to death. You can go all the way back from Marilyn Monroe to Belushi to Farley to Elvis to Cobain to Lane Staley. You can just look at the train wrecks. And you can look at those that are in process. Number 1 personality on Twitter today, Britney Spears. Right. Lindsay Lohan, you go from a mouseketeer to jail and rehab. That's the world we live in. Robert Downey Jr. has said openly and publicly that he's a narcissist. You wonder why guys like Mel Gibson freak out? It's because they think they're God, and when someone tells them no, wrath comes down. Say, what is going on? That's the world we live in, and then if the average person thinks, well, that's normal, or that's how you become famous, or that's the price you pay, you want to be great, you want to be famous, you want everybody to know you, you want to have the most Twitter followers, you want to have the biggest fans on Facebook, you want everybody to click like, which is interesting. It's a worship act. I like. Now, Dr. Drew comes along and he has this interesting quote. Celebrities, like all narcissists, rely on the world as a mirror, Calvin's language. It's amazing. A non-Christian has got some insights here. They're helpful. Constantly gazing outward in search of gratification or affirmation in order to stave off their unbearable feelings of internal emptiness. Celebrities are not healthy people. They're not famous people are not doing well. I mean, if you listen to Eminem's latest album, he basically says, I ruined my whole life, but I'm trying to fix it. I want to do better and be a good dad. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing, so let's do it together. Follow me. Really? Maybe you should follow somebody else. I know this guy who rose from death. Maybe that guy. Now, in addition, how about this? For those of you who are young, and by young I mean under 40, because I'm almost 40, 51% of 18 to 25-year-olds said that becoming famous was their generation's most important or second most important life goal, the very neutral Pew Research Center. Now, a lot of people in Mars Hill are in that age. Some of you are. Some of you are parents. Your kids are at or near that age. Some of you are grandparents. Your grandkids are at or near that age. You ask the average young person today, what do you think the most important thing is for your generation? You guys want to be holy? Nope. Want to be loving? No. Compassionate? Generous? Nope. Famous? Really? How are you going to do that? I'm going to do something crazy. And then the self-destructive cycle of death kicks in. It just does. This is why we get juiced athletes trying to cheat, lying politicians, crooked business leaders. Everybody's using everybody. Everybody wants to be somebody. Nobody's loving anybody. Now, I'll give you one tragic, horrendous, devastating recent example. How many of you know Lawrence Fishburne? He was an actor, became quite famous with The Matrix. He's a pretty good actor. He's got a teenage daughter. She recently made her first porn film on her own, distributed it herself to make herself famous. Her dad is obviously distraught and devastated by this. He has tried to purchase the rights to it, but it's too late. It's been distributed. He, according to certain reports, along with his friends, tried to buy all the copies, but can't track them all down. It's led to a conflict between he and his teenage daughter, who says this: I view making this adult movie as an important first step in my career. I've watched how successful Kim Kardashian, you could add Paris Hilton, you could add Pamela Anderson, became, and I think a lot of it was due to the release of her sex tape by Vivid. I'm hoping the same magic will work for me. I'm impatient about getting what? Well known. I want to become famous quick and having more opportunities, and this seemed like a great way to get started on it. Do you feel it? Just change the temperature in the room. If you say, I just want to be great, and I'm going to walk out in the world, and my greatness means fame. I want to be known. It ends up with reckless, dangerous, unhealthy behavior, mimicking the least healthy among us, trying to outdo others to gain a bigger fan base. Now, some will come along and try and Christianize this with fantastically nonsensical theology. They will say, oh, yes, but God exists to give us greatness. Yes, we don't want the world's definition of greatness, but we want to have as a vision for our own greatness where we're healthy and successful and overachievers and overcomers and victors. And so, we still want to pursue greatness as the world defines it, by health and beauty and status and success and possessions. And God exists for my glory. God exists to worship me. God exists that I would have all I could have, be all I could be, do all I could do. It's all the way back to the first line in Genesis. You could be great like God. And then false teachers come along and say, and God will help you by worshiping you. No, we don't exist to be worshiped by God. We exist to worship God.